was I to know that I was worse off? Keeping you around, that's why I go away. Feeling how it ends is just the worst part. I was in the man, but there was still no way. How was I to know that I was worse off?
Good morning, everybody. This is Damian Donaldson. Welcome to the Scholarship Breakfast. We're going to get started in less than a minute. I want to remind everybody that we are in listen-only mode. This meeting is recorded, and if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to voice your concerns in the chat room, and I will attend you as needed. Thank you, and enjoy the show.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in on this fine Saturday morning. And we're really excited to have you on our 2021 Scholarship Award ceremony. We have an exciting program for you. And before I turn into that, I would like to acknowledge one of our special sponsors, BCG Digital Ventures, and all our corporate partners, as well as education partners, and of course, our students that we are celebrating today and their family and friends. Without further ado, I will turn over to John Walsh for our opening remarks.
Good morning, everyone. My name is John Walls, and I'm the outgoing president of the Los Angeles chapter of the National Black MBA Association. Welcome, and thank you for being here today. The annual scholarship ceremony is always my favorite event each year. It's a moment when I feel all the hard work that we put in on this all-volunteer board has paid off. But I have to admit, this year comes hopefully at the end of still dark times. As we all know, millions of Americans have either died or been severely impacted from the coronavirus. A large percentage of the country still doesn't believe that Joe Biden is a legitimate president of the United States. And recent events continue to make it clear that being Black in America is still a dangerous proposition. But this is a meeting and a discussion and an event that is full of hope. And we as a people are no strangers to dark times, and there are definitely bright spots as well. We've lived to see California's own Kamala Harris take office as the first woman and first Black woman to hold the second highest political office in the land. Despite the pandemic, a hybrid national conference had strong attendance and was supported uncompromisingly by corporate sponsors. Tons of people attended, got jobs, and strengthened the financial wherewithal of our national organization. And of course, there are these amazing students that we're here to celebrate today. Let's give them a hand. As I said in similar remarks last year, the book of John, chapter 1, verse 5 says, "The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it." These are very difficult times, and yet they are filled with such great hope for a better future. Even as we celebrate the achievements of these scholars, please let me take this opportunity to say a sincere thanks to those of you who have made this day possible, to our corporate and educational partners who are the fuel for our fire, to the family and friends of each scholarship recipient who provide a vital source of encouragement during late night study hours, and finally, to the LA chapter board, the most amazing and hardest working group of volunteers I've ever had the honor to be associated with. I love you all. You've done fantastic jobs. Let me just say to all of you that this is your moment as much as anyone's. And with that, let me welcome you again to the LA Chapter 2021 Annual Scholarship Event. And now, let me turn the floor over to my colleague, Javon Shepard, the dynamic and visionary president-elect of the chapter. Folks, this chapter is in excellent hands. With that, let me turn it over to Javon.
John, thank you so much for those kind words. And thank you all for being here today. I just want to say congratulations to the scholars, and I know your families are very proud of you, as are we. Thank you to the officers and the board. Most of all, I want to say thank you to our keynote speaker, Ms. Cecilia Owens. I've been following this amazing, inspirational executive on LinkedIn, and earlier in the year, I invited her to speak at my firm, and we had practitioners of every level all across the nation listen to her amazing journey from Compton, California, the CPT, to the C-suite. And I cannot wait to see what this amazing executive does next. Cecilia Owens, I'm actually looking at you in the, I don't know where my eyes are, but I'm actually looking at you as I'm talking about you. And folks, you are in for a treat. So without further ado, let me introduce Miss Cecilia Owens.
Thank you so much for such a warm welcome, Javon. I really appreciate it. And thank you to John, Joelle, and the Los Angeles chapter of the National Black MBA Association for inviting me to share my story with you today. I am so thrilled to be here as we celebrate this amazing group of MBA scholars. Refresh, renew, reset. My journey has had many stages and phases where I've had to refresh, renew, and reset. My story begins in Compton. I was a quiet, reserved, observant, studious kid. I was the second of two girls. My sister really paved the way for me, and she really took a lot of the tough conversations and the tough events that occurred, and I just came right behind her and kind of sailed through. But I did spend the first 19 years of my life growing up in Compton. Most kids leaned into the neighborhood, while I leaned into education. Growing up, I wasn't exposed to many careers. One of the first examples I saw of Black excellence was The Cosby Show. I know it's not the best example in hindsight, but it was what I had at that time. I knew I didn't want to be a doctor because I didn't have a passion for science. So I decided I would be a lawyer like Claire Huxtable. Again, I had no frame of reference aside from the knowledge that lawyers seemed successful, and I knew I didn't want to be stuck in the cycle. So I was having a casual conversation with a family friend when she asked me what I wanted to be when I grew up. Now, I wasn't the most confident or secure young lady at the time, so I replied, maybe a lawyer. And I remember her telling me that I was too honest to be a lawyer. And she said she had a friend who was an accountant. So she urged me to look into being an accountant since I excelled at math. And that one conversation led me to declare accounting as my major as a 16-year-old senior in high school. So I applied to a number of universities with a declared major that I knew nothing about. I could not tell you what an accountant did at that point in time. I just knew I wanted to work with numbers and I didn't want to mix science with my math. And that was good enough for me. I was accepted into every university I applied to. However, I didn't receive enough financial assistance. So I sat by and watched as the smart kids in my school went on to four-year universities, and I altered my plans and my goals to attend community college. Time to refresh, renew, reset. For those who did go to a community college, the probability of transferring to a four-year university after 2 years was slim. This was one of the most significant resets I experienced. I was destined and determined to break the cycle. Those 2 years at community college, I refer to as my lost years. For 2 years of my life, I worked 2 to 3 jobs, took at least 18 units a semester. And during that time period, I earned mostly A's and 3 B's. Yes, I did keep count. I was determined to make it out of Compton. So I was singularly focused. No friends, no social life, just work, school, repeat. After 2 grueling years, I transferred to Loyola Marymount University, and I received the financial package that I needed this second time around. Life was tough as a transfer student. This was my first time living any place other than Compton. I had a hard time balancing my new freedom, new social life, new environment with school and work, but I stuck with it, and I graduated at degree in accounting. I wanted to keep going. I wanted to earn my MBA, but I knew that financially, I wouldn't be able to afford it at that time. Time to refresh, renew, reset. So I went to work instead, and I put my dreams of attaining an MBA on the back burner. My early career began in accounting and quickly transitioned to internal audit. The theme of my early career was climb fast. I began my career as a staff accountant at a bank. I worked in that role for 1.5 years, then was promoted to internal audit, where I really learned how to cross the T's and dot the I's. This provided a great foundation for the rest of my career because there is just no industry as heavily regulated as a bank. During an HR audit, I stumbled upon the fact that the man hired to backfill the last role I was promoted from was making more money than I was in my new role. So it was time to refresh, renew, reset. I started having conversations with recruiters. I was looking for a 20% increase in comp, and one particular recruiter told me she couldn't justify that request with a new employer. So I started applying directly. I applied directly to DirecTV, and it was for an internal audit role, and they offered me that role, and I received more than the 20% comp increase I was looking for. So lesson learned, you are your best advocate. I worked with DirecTV for 1 year, and I absolutely loved my time there. I had amazing coworkers who were highly intelligent, just all around excellent. The execs were extremely welcoming. I traveled extensively with DirecTV. I had audit assignments in New York and Puerto Rico and San Francisco, and I was able to peek at a few of those coveted exclusivity contracts they had at the time. Life was grand, but I started to see the cracks. One of the directors in my department was having a midlife crisis, and he mentioned to a few of us staff that he felt stuck in internal audit. He had climbed too far up the ladder and didn't have the option to try something new at his level. Also, I had become accustomed to being promoted frequently while at the bank. Every 7 to 8 months, they would give me a new title and a new compensation package. So at my annual evaluation with DirecTV, I learned the very hard lesson that they were an organization that rewarded based on years of service and performance, not strictly performance. So while I was receiving rave reviews from execs and peers, I was told that I'd have to wait another 2 to 3 years or so to be promoted to the next role. It was time again, time to refresh, renew, reset. I started conversing with friends and associates. One such was a friend of mine who worked at one of the big 4 accounting firms, and he mentioned he knew of an opening at Fox for a manager of finance role. I tried to talk myself out of applying. I am not qualified. I have no actual reporting experience. I only review the numbers. I don't put them together. I didn't have an MBA at the time, so I really didn't want to apply, but he pushed me. He encouraged me to apply. So I submitted my resume and I got that job. I was hired as the manager of financial reporting at Fox Interactive Media, which oversaw MySpace, IGN, Rotten Tomatoes, and a few other wholly owned websites. I didn't take the traditional route of working at an accounting firm like my peers did, but I stuck to my climb fast theme. I will never forget when my SVP pulled me aside around the 7-month mark at Fox, and I was offered the director role. So at 27, I became the director of my division. One of the most challenging experiences was learning how to manage a team that one day was a group of peers and the next were my direct reports. They hated me. I didn't know how to manage, but I did the best that I could. And soon I got the hang of it. I wanted more than anything to pursue my MBA. I craved the formal knowledge, the education. I knew that an MBA program would provide me with that extra step. But a few months into my director role, my entire team was laid off. My SVP and CFO were also laid off during that restructure. Fox kept me because I reported the financials to News Corp for SEC reporting. They needed someone to tell them what was going on, and I was that someone. I survived a few more restructures, and in the end, they pulled me aside and they told me they wanted to retain me through the end of the year. So they had me sign an NDA, an employment agreement, and I promised not to tell anyone where the bodies were buried. Here I was, wrapping things up with Fox and interviewing for my next role. I was competing for director roles, and other candidates had CPAs, MBAs. I had neither. It was time to refresh, renew, reset. So I accepted a consultant gig, and I thought would afford me the freedom in my schedule needed to recommit to my own personal goals. 3 weeks into my consultant gig, and I was offered a full-time director role. So it goes without saying, but sometimes you have to prove your worth before you're actually given that opportunity. I remained in that role for a year and constantly tried to determine how I could fit in an MBA program into my schedule. It just felt impossible. I knew I needed to reset with a new employer, but it was the conundrum of I need an MBA to get a director level role, but I need a new director level role that will afford me the time to get an MBA. Finally, the stars aligned. I was introduced to a company that did not require an MBA for a VP finance role. It was a boutique advertising agency that focused on entertainment. For the first time in my career, I oversaw finance, accounting, HR, legal affairs, office management. I had the biggest case of imposter syndrome yet. Time to refresh, renew, reset. 3 months into the role, I built my confidence. So much so that I walked into my boss's office and told him I wanted to pursue an MBA. He said, of course, go for it. So here I was. I applied to USC. It was the only school I applied to, and I was accepted. For 2 years, I worked full-time while pursuing that elusive MBA. As many of you have done, I juggled studies with all the other challenges and time commitments I'd made. After 2 years of juggling, I earned an MBA. And that's when things finally started to fall into place. I was promoted to an SVP role shortly after graduation. I also got married that year to my amazing husband. I attended the African American Board Leadership Institute, which prepares for professionals for board roles because my goal is to obtain a board seat with a public company. And in my personal life, I was promoted to the role of mother to my now fierce 5-year-old. I had experienced a lot of really significant changes, and I was itching for something new career-wise. Time to refresh, renew, reset. I remember taking my little one with me to meet with a recruiter who was a personal friend from my Fox days. And I told her to keep her eye out for me. I wanted a CFO role in Culver City or Playa Vista so that I could be closer to home for the little one. I also wanted to start changing the world for the better. I wanted to work for a company with a cause. I wanted to mentor. I wanted to empower others. I wanted to feel as if I was lifting as I was climbing. That same recruiter invited me to an event for a nonprofit named Empower Her Institute. Empower Her Institute helps young women in marginalized communities gain the skills necessary through education, training, and mentorship to become confident, college, and career ready. I was sold. I started off as a mentor in their junior high school program. This program really spoke to me because I was one of those girls. And I strongly believe if they can see it, they can be it. I was then invited to an end of school year thank you event for mentors. And there I had a very brief conversation with an Empower Her employee I had just met that night. And I learned they were in search of the treasurer for the board of directors at Empower Her. So I let them know I was interested, and after a few interview sessions, I was nominated and accepted to the board. 4 years after obtaining my MBA, I accepted my first CFO role. I'm now in my third CFO role for the first time. I also have the COO title. I have no doubt that this would not have been possible without my MBA. So I sit before you today as a wife, a mom, a boss lady, a CFO, a COO, a nonprofit board member, and an MBA. My plate is definitely full, but it's full of all of my favorite things. I'm so excited about the future, and although I'm happy, I'm already planting seeds for the next role 5 years from now, where I hope to be in the C-suite of a Black-owned entertainment company here in Southern California. And by then, I'll have a board seat with a public company. I'm already planning my next refresh, renew, reset. Thank you so much.
Is anyone else inspired? I'm ready to go out right now. Cecilia, thank you so much. Now, Joelle, you have to keep me honest about what's next on our agenda, but I just want to say thank you so much. And not sure if we're going to have time for a Q&A, but just want to get your thoughts just really quickly on what advice you would give to our scholars in their varying level. You already gave us a jewel with be your own advocate, but what other advice would you give?
Of course, I would say don't be afraid of change. You are going to have points in your career where you are the leader in making those changes, and you'll have points in your career where that change is thrust upon you. Don't be afraid. Just know that things will work out the way that they were intended to, and simply take rejection as redirection. It might not be a no, or it might not be what you want to hear, but a no is a no for now. You might just stumble upon it later in your career and get what you actually want. So.
Thank you.
We actually do have time for Q&A. So we would love, Cecilia, if you could continue to impart your grace and wisdom upon our attendees today. So if you do have a question and you're on screen, please raise your hand with the Zoom icon so that we can see you and we can turn it over to you. So if we have any questions, or if you're shy, feel free to place your question in the chat.
Yeah, I actually have a question. And first of all, thank you so much for this inspirational story, Cecilia. Now, you did mention that at some point you suffer from imposter syndrome. And so I think it would be great to share with the audience what were some of the best practices that help you get out of that mindset.
Of course. I think it just came with time, to be honest with you. It's something that I've faced a few times in my career. And I think probably the biggest two examples of that were the first when I was promoted to the director of the division at Fox. And then the other was when I received my first CFO role. And in both cases, I just worked. I worked hard, I worked consistently, and I just made sure that I proved my worth. I proved that I was valuable to the companies that I was with at the time. And over time, it just kind of went away. And now that I'm in my third CFO role, I know that I'm here for a reason. I know that I belong. I know that I'm doing exactly what I was meant to do. And more importantly, my compensation, it actually reflects that. So it's a great feeling.
That is wonderful. And I just have another follow-up question to that. Now, you said that you had to work and you had to, redirect your mind. Now, did you have like a mentor at work or someone you had to connect to at work, maybe out of work, to help you through that process? Or did you just do it by yourself?
So I have had various mentors who have actually been managers that I've reported to at various points in time. I do think it's important when you are interviewing for a position that you're interviewing them as much so as they're interviewing you. You want to make sure that you are going to work with someone who is going to push you up and propel you to that next level. And so I've always looked for managers who I knew I would be able to learn from, who I knew I would be able to be inspired by, and more importantly, who would be partners with me in me attempting to get to the next level in my career. So.
Wonderful. I see 3 hands raised, and I'm going to start with.
I'm gonna bring in Taylor. I think
Okay.
she had a question, so I'm gonna bring her in one moment. Once your spotlight is on, then please feel free to ask your question.
Okay, thank you, Cecilia, for your great sharing of your journey. It's very inspiring, and I'm super motivated after hearing that. So I actually received my MBA in December of 2020 and have started my first corporate role in January here in San Diego. And I'm currently experiencing some discrepancies in how my value is seen. So my manager is consistently letting me know that I'm an asset to the company, but her manager doesn't share those feelings. So I was wondering if maybe you ever experienced that, and if so, how do you bridge that gap for everyone to see your value?
Of course, that is a great question. Congratulations, first and foremost, on achieving that MBA. And thank you for asking that question. I do think that you definitely need to work on the relationship that you have with your manager's manager. I know that it's probably an uphill battle, but you should definitely lean on your manager and ask your manager how they would advise you to work to build that relationship with their manager, because their manager is the decision maker. And in order to continue to grow, continue to progress, you're going to need their buy-in. So continue to work on it, continue to have conversations with your manager, see if those conversations can be shared with that manager. And it's going to take time. And if it doesn't come, don't be afraid to try to look out for the next move.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we have one more, Londale. He's going to be next. So Londale, if you can please turn on your camera and ask your question, greatly appreciate it.
All right. Use the background 1 second. So sorry.
That's a nice background, though. Are you in San Francisco?
Oh, I'm at home now. Okay. Thank you all for your patience through the technology. So I'm Cecilia. For myself, I've just stepped into my first supervisor role in accounting. And my question is, in a digital virtual environment, what will be your advice to gain team buy-in? Currently, I manage about 7 people. I was their peer for about 8 months, and now I'm their supervisor. So, what would be your advice when you transition from peer to, direct leader, I guess?
Of course. First and foremost, congratulations on that. That is amazing accomplishment. And I think that you should definitely work one-on-one with every single member of your team, hear them out, get to know them, build those relationships. The relationships do change, right? When you're their peer, it's much more comfortable, it's relaxed. And suddenly you're the supervisor and it becomes a lot different. So you definitely should reestablish the relationship as a supervisor. And that doesn't mean you come in forcefully, but it does mean that you come in with an open mind. You come in and you hear their concerns, and you start to build a different relationship at a new level with each and every individual. Once you have those individuals buy in, then it becomes a group thing, right? And it becomes a group buy-in that you now have, and you have the support of your team, and it only gets better.
Thank you so much.
Of course.
Thank you very much. And we have another question from Jovan. She's just full of questions today. So I'm going to add her spotlight on so she can ask her question.
Cecilia, when you came to the firm to talk, me and you could have just went on like all day and people were chatting and everything and asking you questions, but I have 2 for you. The first one is while you were at the firm, you disclosed that my firm did not hire you. And every partner on that call was like, what? Wait, we missed the boat, And so there's been, believe it or not, some conversations around that. So my question to you is what advice would you give, having your own experience? Obviously, you have far exceeded not your own expectations, but just really kind of exceeded what people maybe when they interviewed you thought of your potential, right? So what would you say to people who are interviewing diverse candidates, or seeing potential as opposed to, you know, more than just what's on paper? And how did we miss the boat so badly?
Yeah, so that experience was pretty crushing. I will admit, I was still in college. All of my friends were going to work for the big five at the time, accounting firms. And your firm was very high on that list for me. The reason I did not receive an offer for a position is because my GPA was not what they thought was acceptable. I had a hard time with that transition to Loyola Marymount University. I had a hard time with managing stress. I was out of school for about a month due to stress in the hospital, and it was a hard time. And unfortunately, they couldn't see that the GPA, it was just a barrier that they could not overcome. To that, I would say be open-minded. Students handle things differently, and your GPA doesn't dictate how well you do in life. It doesn't. So, I mean, that's the best advice that I can give you. Look past that piece of paper. Ask questions about life experiences and really get to know the candidates on a deeper level. Be open to meeting different candidates who might not check all the boxes, but again, could still work very hard for your firm. And we've got a lot of work to do, but I definitely think it's possible.
And your second question? I think, Javon, you had a second question.
Yeah, I did. I just had a follow. Now, I have so many, but a follow-up is, would you be interested in talking to a select group of partners around what they can do to do just that, to see past the pieces of paper, to see past what the really to understand the backstory and the whole story of a potential candidate? So would you be interested in that?
Most definitely. Most definitely.
Okay, wonderful. And do you ever get back to Compton?
I do. I still have family who lives there. So they have events and things at their house pre-pandemic and a little bit post-pandemic. So I've tried to get back as frequently as possible. And anytime I'm driving in that direction, I do try to drive past my childhood neighborhood and just kind of see how things have changed over the years. And one other thing that I want to add to that first set of questions, Siobhan, is the importance on the candidate side to, again, not see rejection as the end. Definitely take that rejection as redirection. There were several times where I could have just said, this isn't for me, I'm going to do something else, but I was very determined to make it work. So just remain determined, remain set in your goals, pivot when you need to, but definitely don't take the rejection personally.
Okay, I think we have a few more questions here. Thank you for that response. Joelle, looks like she's coming back with another question as well. So let me bring her on.
Wow. Cecilia, I feel like I can't get enough of you. So each time you say something, it kind of inspires another question. So please, I hope everyone is going to bear with me on that. And so I'm going to take us back to when you mentioned your plan of, your long-term goal of being on the board of a Black-owned company. Mm-hmm. I think that's a big vision. And you also mentioned that you already have some processes in place to help you get to where you want to be. And it's my experience, or at least, and sometimes it's been my personal experience, and even talking with a few friends and folks, that it is difficult to, get to where you are if you are not clear of where you want to be. Mm-hmm. And so I would like to hear from you, like, what are some of the things that you kind of use, or some tools or techniques that helps you figure out what you want to do or where you want to be? Because again, you did mention that sometimes rejection should be taken as a redirection. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's been my experience that the situations in which I've been rejected from something has actually been a redirection, and not everyone takes it that way. So for someone who may be struggling with, interpreting those scenarios in their life, what are the best practices to put in place for that?
Yes. Number one, I would say, don't be afraid to ask people who have roles that you're aspiring to be in for informational interviews. You're probably going to get a few rejections, but you will get people who say yes. I try to say yes to every request for an informational interview that comes my way. Now, an informational interview is not a time for you to ask for a job. It's basically a time for you to say, how did you get to where you are, for you to troubleshoot, for you to ask questions that are specific for you, but you don't end that conversation with, can you hire me? You literally just plant seeds along the way. So you have these conversations, you ask about the person's journey, you ask about, some of the challenges that you're facing, and always ask for the next informational interview. So do you have someone you would recommend that I speak to about furthering my career? Do you have, some book that you would like, that you would recommend that I read? You always want to have some type of follow through in those conversations so that an informational interview is not the end of the line. I found that extremely helpful along the way to just reach out to people and talk to people. The other thing is, once you decide where you want to go, once you decide what those goals are, scream it from the mountaintops. Literally every conversation that I have, as if it's work related, I do come around to, I want to be on a board, and in 5 years, I want to be working for a Black-owned entertainment company. And I scream it. I say it in all of the talks that I have. I say it in this keynote. I say it, and I keep saying it over and over again. And people will remember it. And people will think about it when someone comes to them and says, hey, do you know someone who can? Or hey, do you know someone who can feel this? You will be present. You will be, in their mind, because you've already proclaimed it. It's going to happen, and they're going to think of you, and then they're going to make that connection. So definitely make sure to reiterate your goals when you're speaking to people, especially new people within your circle. And that goes, with different circles. I have so many different circles. I have mom's circles. I have my little one's school circle. I have work circles. I have, all of these different circles, but I make sure that everyone knows within those circles what my goals are. Because again, I want to make sure that every circle that I've designed is promoting me to the next level.
Gems. Thank you very much for that. We have a few more questions. They're starting to file in. Deja Darrington, she has another question. She's been waiting patiently. Let's bring her to the spotlight. Go ahead and ask your question.
Hi, Cecilia. Thank you so much for sharing your journey, especially about how, you are your biggest advocate. And also, I really love your climb fast theme. I love that. So I have two questions. My first is, what advice would you give to someone who is going into their leadership position for the first time?
Mm-hmm. So for that question, I would say definitely make sure that you know what is expected of you from your superiors, and also make sure that that conversation is ongoing. It's not just a one-time make a list, check off the things on the items on the list type of conversation. It's a constant check-in, constantly ensuring that you are meeting the expectations. And also, again, the same advice that I had for the young man who had the question earlier, which is make sure you know your team, make sure you know your peers, the direct reports who report to you, make sure you're building those relationships. Those relationships are just as important as your relationships with your superiors. So make sure you're having those conversations and make sure it's ongoing and continuous. You're constantly working at it.
Okay. Thank you. And then my last one is, so now that you're in the C-suite, you mentioned that you had a hard time managing stress back in your undergrad. So what are you doing now, or what have you learned to help manage your mental health and stress?
Yes. So I am part of so many groups. I've already mentioned my circles. So I'm a Mocha Mom, which is a group of mothers here in Southern California who are people of color. I am a chief, and chief is a women's network designed to promote women to the C-suite and to keep them there. Within chief, we have so many subgroups that I'm constantly following up with, constantly having conversations with, just to ensure that, we're all promoting one another. And that is a very good outlet in terms of, the frustrations that one would experience being the only woman of color, usually the youngest woman in the room. And my family. I mean, my family is so instrumental in supporting me every step of the way. I have a 5-year-old, and it becomes remarkably difficult to fit everything into, the 24 hours that we're allotted each day. And so I have a very, very key support group who helps to make sure that she receives all of the love that she needs, who helps to, fill in when I need her to be dropped off somewhere. My mother-in-law is listening. She just dropped her off at a dance class. When I need her to be picked up, when I need just a few hours to do X, Y, and Z, I have my mother-in-law, I have my mother, I have my sister, I have my husband. I have this really tight group of family who, will do anything that they can to ensure that I'm continuing to succeed.
I love that. Thank you for sharing. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And so we're going to move on to Londale. He's coming back for a second round. I'm not sure if his camera is up and going, but we're just going to put him on the spotlight and have him ask his question.
All right, I'm back again. I had one other question. I know your theme throughout your presentation is reset and refresh. From a professional standpoint, when you're interviewing or looking for your next role, how do you communicate that effectively where it doesn't negatively look as if you're like, I don't know, job hopping or anything of that nature? I've had that happen in my career. So kind of what's your advice on how you articulate that to show value?
Yeah, definitely. A year ago, I was very concerned about that. I was with a music licensing company as their CFO. They're owned by Sony and Universal Music Group. The company's name is APM Music. And I had only been there for less than a year. And I got a call from a recruiter about this amazing opportunity. And I said no, because I did not want to have too many short-term roles on my resume. And I sat with that and regretted it instantly. I literally hung up the phone and regretted it instantly, but I thought I'm doing the right thing because I need to show that I've been with this company for a certain number of years. And about a month later, I was having a bad work day. And one of that same recruiter's senior staff members reached out to me about the same role. They had not communicated. And I saw it as a sign. It's like, okay, they're coming back for a second round. They want to talk to me again about this. Let me just have the conversation. One conversation led to another. And we realized that it was a better match than my previous role. We realized that, everything just felt good about this. And so it's the, difficulty of making this decision, knowing that 5 years from now, I'm going to have to explain why I was only with this company for a year before moving on to the next role. But in the end, my happiness is more important than that person understanding that. So it was a hard decision to make. And I think that I will explain it as such. I knew something didn't feel right. I wanted to do something that enabled me to feel passionate about my role. And this change enabled me to do so. This change fed my passion. This change enabled me to really amplify my skill set, utilize my skill set at a level that I would not have been if I were with that other company. And so just being able to talk through it and explain it, I think is instrumental. But more importantly, don't make a decision based on what you think others are going to think of you, or how you feel you're going to have to explain that decision later on. Make a decision that is best for you. And when that conversation comes, you can walk them through where you were, where your mindset was, and what led you to make that decision. And if they don't accept it, then that's their loss.
All right. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I think we have another question from Joelle. So we're going to bring her back on.
Yeah, well, thank you so much, Cecilia. I feel like I can't get enough of you today. What book would you recommend for people to read? I don't know, it could be based on your personal growth, professional growth. I mean, you can list a few books. Just curious.
Of course. Right now I'm reading Cast, which I recommend across the board. Isabel Wilkerson is absolutely amazing. If you don't have time to read it, at least watch the Oprah Book Club interview with her, and you will be inspired, and it probably will make you read that book, but it's called, again, Cast by Isabel Wilkerson. And that has been, I mean, just eye-opening. It talks about the story of, Black heritage here in America, and it's just eye-opening, I will say. And then in terms of professionally, I tend to read books that help me to understand myself a little bit better. And so I'm trying to think of the book's name. I can't think of it right now, but there was one such book that I read that dealt with the study of, how you don't have to be the smartest one in the room to excel the highest, because I don't think I'm the smartest one in the room. I honestly don't. It's called Grit. I honestly don't think that I'm the most intelligent one, but I have a very easy way of finding solutions to problems. So that's one of my skills that I've definitely honed in on and exploited. And then I also, I don't panic. So I'm a smooth sailor. So the sky is falling and my question is, do you have a bucket? So I never panic when things are going wrong. And I think that, other leaders see that, and they see that as a definite benefit to me being on their team. Oh, and one more, The Memo, Melinda Hart, amazing book. So.
Wonderful, thank you. I'm going to share a few of the links of Cass in the chat shortly.
Yes, definitely do.
And who's the author of the memo?
Melinda Hartz. Melinda Hartz, I think is her name. Mm-hmm.
All right, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that about does it. I don't see any more questions, but I will ask one question now that I have you, as a nice way to round out the end of the questions. If you were to speak to yourself in your younger teenage years, what advice would you give her?
I would definitely tell her to meditate. I know a question was asked about mental health, and I was not doing a good job at that time at managing stress. So I would tell her to meditate, do yoga, exercise, spend time on you. And I think that's hard advice. I'm not always successful in doing so, especially with a little kid. But I do think that it is important for you to recharge. It is important for you to invest in yourself in order for you to be the best version of yourself. So I would definitely tell her to sit tight, breathe a little bit, have some deep breaths, meditate, and work through the stress of it all, and hang in there.
Sounds great. All right. Thank you very much. Now, I think that if we don't have any more questions, we may go into a quick break, and we'll come back with our our lot video and go through the rest of our meeting as shown here. Okay. So thank you again, and we'll take a quick 5-minute bio break, and we'll come back in about 5 minutes. Thank you again, Cecilia. Words of wisdom, gems, as always. Round of applause.
Thank you so much.
See everybody in 5.
All right, take good care. Thank you.
According to the United Negro College Fund, research has shown a bias of tendencies for lower expectation towards students of color. African American students are less likely to have access to college readiness courses. While these facts are daunting, they serve as opportunities to galvanize committed parents, students, and organizations such as the National Black MBA Association to work towards sustainable improvement by changing and empowering lives one student at a time. Through the LOC program, students are provided access to instructors and mentors from some of the nation's elite MBA programs. At the annual CASE competition, our students have the opportunity to work together in developing and presenting solutions to real-world business problems, getting specific feedback from applicable company executives and experienced business professionals.
When I first joined Leaders of Tomorrow, I was intimidated by the idea of speaking in front of a large group of people. Moreover, learning business concepts such as the 4 Ps and the 5 Cs, while difficult at first, became second nature with the help of this program. Overall, in this program, you learn lifelong lessons, the importance of getting things done.
The Leaders of Tomorrow program not only helps prepare students for college, but we also provide scholarships each year to assist our students in realizing their educational and career goals and objectives.
During my time in this program, I've been challenged to interact with people on a more active level, leveraging different skills and personalities to put our best foot forward. And for me, I'm going into a career in film production, which can breed a lot of high-stress environments, but I feel that LOT has equipped me to face those kinds of challenges and work effectively in those collaborative environments.
We recognize and agree with the old adage that says, it takes a village, with both instructors and mentors playing a critical role in the development of our students.
I've been working with the students for a number of years now, and every time that I walk into that classroom, I see me, a kid from a challenged socioeconomic background. But what I want to instill in the students is that it doesn't matter where you're from. If you have integrity and determination, those 2 factors will help you unlock your greatest potential.
My daughter was part of Leaders of Tomorrow for 3 years while she was in high school. I'm proud to share that she successfully completed her freshman year at Howard University with a 3.8 GPA, largely in due part to her time with Leaders of Tomorrow.
Under the guidance of the National Black MBA Association, the LOT program believes that every student has the ability to achieve greatness. They simply require people who believe in them, providing instruction and tools to unleash that potential. By making these investments in our students today, we will produce great and effective leaders of tomorrow.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Camille Harris, and I serve as the director of the chapter's high school development and mentoring program, Leaders of Tomorrow. And I am here to present the LOT Scholarship Award. The Leaders of Tomorrow's scholarship program awards tuition assistance to LOT high school seniors who have been accepted to a 2 or 4 year college or university and who have demonstrated academic excellence and exhibited exceptional leadership potential within the LOT program. And this year's recipient didn't just meet those expectations, but exceeded them. Lauren joined LOT as a freshman, and from the onset, showed herself to be a true leader, boldly taking on opportunities to grow and develop. During her first year in the program as a high school freshman, Lauren represented LOT as a speaker at the chapter's Business of Sports event. She then went on to represent LOT as a speaker during our inaugural golf scholarship tournament. And this past year, Lauren accepted my request to serve on the first National Student Leaders Council that was established by the National LOT. During her time in the program, Lauren also played a key role as a strategic member of the business case competition team, participating each year in the National LOT Leadership Summit and Business Case Scholarship Competition. And this year, as the only senior on the team, as well as being the only student to have previously participated in a case competition, Lauren's leadership and experience was integral in leading the team to their first place win. But Lauren's commitment to the program didn't stop there. She assisted with various tasks and activities, such as setting up for monthly sessions, creating program flyers, and volunteering at various LOT events, including manning the booth at the Black College Expo and feeding the homeless during our annual community service event. Lauren was and is a true example of not just being a leader of tomorrow, but a leader of today. Lauren attended Chino Hills High School, where she maintained a 3.59 GPA and was a member of the girls varsity golf team, as well as the associated student body, where she earned an Excellence in Activities Award and was voted most inspirational senior. All of this on top of also being a committed and involved member of her church, Friendship Baptist, where she was part of the dance ministry, media team, Black Student Union, and scholarship ministry. This fall, Lauren began her college journey at Southern University as a member of the school's High Academic Achievers program called Top Jags, whose mission it is to recruit and retain the best and the brightest at SU. I am certain Lauren will continue to grow and do great things in the future. Lauren is an exemplary student, and I am excited to see how she will excel in college and beyond. And it is my honor to present her with this scholarship in the amount of $1,000. Thank you. Lauren.
Thank you.
She's busy working, handling duties as a college freshman, so you're very welcome, Lauren.
Thank you so much, Camille, and congratulations, Lauren. If we can advance to the next phase of our program, I'd love to turn it over to Joelle, our Director of Student Affairs, for our educational partners. Thanks, Joelle.
Thank you, Jennifer. Good morning again, everyone. And as Jennifer rightly mentioned, I am Joelle Topkeng, the chapter's Director of Student Affairs. Before I announce who our education partner of the year is, I would like to give a little bit of history about why I chose the role and the impact the organization has had on my personal and professional life. Now, I joined the organization as a student. I obtained my MBA from Chapman University, so I'm a proud Panther. And I remember at that time, I was still new to the country and was looking for an organization where I can connect with like-minded people and grow. And so I came across the National Black MBA Association thanks to the recommendation from one of my professors at Chapman. And then I got to meet a few of the board members. John was one of the first people I met, the outgoing president. So he was one of the first people who interviewed me for this role. And when I took it, the energy within the group has been amazing. So I have learned a lot from a group, and my goal, at least in this role, has always been to support students because I see myself in their shoes a few years back. And we've connected with quite a few universities in Southern California, and we've grown this the partnership to this number, as you see on the screen: Chapman University, UCLA Anderson School of Management, UCI Merce School of Business, Azusa Pacific, Pepperdine University, USC Marshall School of Business, and of course, the Drucker School of Management at Claremont University. All these schools have supported our organization, and even though today we are recognizing one of them as the Education Partner of the Year, we are by no means minimizing the contribution and support that we've had from all our partners. With that said, our Education Partner of the Year is Drucker School of Management. And just a little history of how we chose that. Leslie White, who will be receiving the award on behalf of Drucker School of Management. She has been so supportive of our organization. I'm actually blanking on how Leslie and I met, if I'm being honest, but I feel like I've known her for a very long time. And then ever since we got together, she has always encouraged her students to, to apply for the scholarships. We've given quite a few we've supported quite a few students from Claremont since they became a partner, and she's even served on the board. And I mean, I can go on, and we might end up just talking about Leslie. So Leslie, thank you so much for your support. Thank you so much for your contribution. We really cherish and value your everything you've done for us. And then, so thank you. And if you want to say a few words, take it away.
Absolutely, my pleasure, and my apologies. I'm doing the other thing that I love to do, which is ski, and I'm a volunteer in an organization. So unfortunately, the two things didn't line up well today. So I've tried to find the quietest place I could to speak to you guys, because this matters so much to me. We are just delighted at Claremont to accept this award and to just double down on the work that we intend to continue to do with the National Black MBA Association. I was thrilled when I saw the program to see how many Claremont people were represented. So don't want to spoil any of the thunder, but in not only scholarship winners, but also on the corporate side. So we're just excited that the values that students kind of come into our program with and that we nurture continue on. And that is really focused so much on people. People make culture. And at Drucker, we like to say culture eats strategy for breakfast. So we're really about people, about seeing people exactly who they are, about uplifting them as individuals. And the size of our classes enables us to do that. You're rarely in class with more than 20 people, and the dean actually will know your name, which is kind of rare from a business school standpoint. We're also really proud of the work we've done on the diversity side. We launched a new program last year, and the incoming class of our fully employed or Flex MBA program was 60% women and 40% people of color. And we continue to work on that. And those would be underrepresented people who are authorized to work in the US. So that's a nice way to say we're not counting folks who are overrepresented, although they may be of color as well. So again, we're very excited to accept this award, very excited to continue our momentum, continue our passion. And if I could just double down on a couple of the comments that Camille made, which just were so amazing and inspiring, but to really just stay centered on people and to think about the classmates you have in school, the folks you have on your team, the people you volunteer with, and really how can you continue to uplift those people? How can you be of service to a classmate, to a colleague, to a volunteer partner? And I loved your point of like sharing your goal and really making that connection. I just love to encourage all the alumni from different organizations, different universities that are on this call, who are also in career mode or maybe career seeking mode or unsure of their next career move. Think about your career center at your alma mater. You paid for this, so I don't like to say it's free. I like to say you paid for it. So get the value out of that. Many alumni associations offer all sorts of free services to alumni. And so if you're in a difficult space, connect with alumni, network, log on, get those virtual services now that we have those things available, and have your resume reviewed, do a mock interview, attend training sessions, but really double down to build those skills that may have kind of waned if you were in a less than productive career opportunity. And so again, we're just excited to accept this award. We're excited to be part of the change that we're liking to see in the space in terms of all the diverse students, and especially students from the diaspora. We're absolutely proud to continue this strategy. And I have a lot of my Claremont folks on the line here today that tuned in from all over the place to just represent and support. And I just want to say thank you to all of you as well, that we're just so pleased to accept this award and know it just means we're going to continue the work.
Thank you, Leslie. So we're going to move on now John.
Hello again, everyone. I have the pleasure and the honor to just say a general thank you to all of our corporate partners. I'd like to say a very special thank you to BCG Digital Ventures, who's the featured sponsor for this particular event. And they've been particularly aggressive in leaning in with our chapter. And so we definitely appreciate that. Also, I guess I'd like to acknowledge some of the corporate partners that I know that are in the room, and apologize if I overlook someone. It's always dangerous to call out particular names because you could miss someone, but I'd like to say, just acknowledge Natara Holloway from NFL Operations, who's on the line with us, Max Little from DLC, and as well as Tiffany Saunders from Merrill Lynch. So we have a lot of good supporters, as you can see from this slide, across the board, but also just wanted to say thank you to those individuals who took time out of their day to be with us today. The last thing I'll say before we move on in the program is to just say the chapter just recently, as everyone probably, many of you know, we just had our national convention back in September, and we won for the second year in a row a national channel award. The organization has 5 channels, and one of those channels is the career channel. And so so we won one the prior year, but this year we won the one associated with careers. And we could never ever have done that without the support that we get from our very generous and exemplary chapters, corporate partners that we work with. And the very last thing I'll say is we really mean it when we say corporate partners. We don't say sponsors, we say partners. And we do that intentionally because we really want to make sure that they're leaning in, we're leaning in, and we're really doing things that are mutually beneficial to both our organizations. So with that, I'll stop and just again say thank you so much to all the partners on the line who are off the line who'll see this later. We really appreciate what you do and are just very much happy to be partners with you all. I'll stop there.
John, you're presenting.
I know, I wanted the slide to go by.
Oh, thanks.
Thank you. So next, I have the pleasure of presenting the the Corporate Partner of the Year Award. And as you can see from the slide, it's being given to NFL football operations. And we've chosen them because they continue across the last few years, they've continued to lean in at the national level. And most recently have leaned in with a partnership directly with us at the local level. They've created significant opportunities, both at the corporate, in terms of corporate roles, as well as I think everyone knows that the Super Bowl is going to be here in LA in February. And so in advance of that, they've provided pathways for really strong entrepreneurial opportunities with the NFL itself and with other organizations as a result of that. And so they continue to work harder and harder and partner with us more and more. And we just want to show our appreciation for that. So with that, I'll say thank you very much on behalf of the partner and turn it over to Natara to accept the award.
Thank you, John. And yes, it is me that likes the sweets. I heard that you asked about the sweets. Hello, everyone. Thank you for having us. Natara Holloway with the National Football League, as John mentioned. It is our honor to accept this award. It is our honor to be here today to participate in this great forum. We have had a great relationship with Black MBA, as John mentioned, and we're super excited to partner with the different chapters, LA being one of the top ones. As you all may know, that Linda D'Ampert is a tremendous asset to the National Football League and a huge advocate of our relationship. And she and I have had many conversations about just what our partnership could potentially do as far as diversity, equity, inclusion for the National Football League, and as well as the community. As we've moved into the Inglewood area with our new stadium and with our new office, it was extremely important for us to make sure that we are connecting with the community, as well as that we are continuing our inclusion efforts. And our partnership with you all allowed us to understand just what are some of the concerns and challenges and extreme opportunities with the community at large within the LA area, as well as with Inglewood. We are partnered with a number of entrepreneurs, as John said, and we are also launching a number of initiatives that will actually target and focus on the exposure and access for people of color, specifically Black Americans, with the NFL. And so I am extremely proud of that. I've been with the league for 18 years. And for me, there's no other way to leave a legacy at a company that doesn't traditionally look like this particular Zoom than to make sure that it does when you leave. And so I encourage all of you that are in corporate positions and have an opportunity to partner with individuals within organizations like National Black MBA, you take that opportunity to make sure that if your organization doesn't look like this, how do you work with organizations to get it closer to that. And so thank you all for partnering with us. Thank you for your patience. We are not where we need to be or where we're going to be as far as diversity is concerned. I know that crossed somebody's mind when you saw the corporate partnership, but I appreciate, applaud, and just really want to thank the Black MBA LA chapter for working with us and being patient with us as we continue to make progress in our very slow, but in our very progressive way. So thank you on behalf of the National Football League. Thank you on behalf of my boss, Troy Vincent, who is so very adamant about this relationship. And if you guys know him, if you all know him, I'm sorry, but you know that he is just equally as passionate about, if not more, than all of us. Thank you to Linda. Thank you to John. Thank you for all of you, Joelle. Thank you for Anastasia, who helped us to put on the Black Equity Think Tank. Thank you to all of you all for allowing us to put on the think tank. That was so cool. As a Black female, that was so cool, and just, in my opinion, so needed as someone who wants to be an entrepreneur. I will shut up because I could talk all day, but thank you so very much.
Thank you, Natara. Thank you so very much. Our next presentation, once the slide moves, is for our Exemplary Engagement Award. And so normally in these programs, we have a single award for a corporate partner and we're done. But we were just so impressed and so taken aback, frankly, by the level of engagement that we've had with DLC since we began their partnership. We're very early stages of actually implementing the partnership. And so I'd say DLC is probably odds-on favorite to potentially be Corporate Partner of the Year next year. But with the efforts of Max Little, who's on the line, and Alex Firth, and others within the organization, there are, one of the things about the types of relationships our organizations like ours and corporations have is whether or not the organization is just there to check a box. We did something with the Black people on the left, and so now we're diverse, leave us alone. DLC is so far the opposite of that. They're like, come on, there's more we can do here, there's more people we can, come on, you guys, let's do it. So they are as passionate as you would expect. They are the types of partners that you want, because not only are we trying to drive things forward for them, they are certainly driving things forward for us. And we appreciate it greatly, and just wanted to make sure we acknowledge that and recognize that, because it's so much the opposite of the stereotype, and we wanted to let everyone know that. So with that as an introduction, I'll turn it over to Max to accept the award.
Thank you so much. Can everybody hear me? As a 20-year veteran of DLC, I'm so happy to receive this award on behalf of my managing director here in Southern California. DLC has always, even before we got involved with the National Black MBA Association, has always had people of color, women, all sorts of people. And so that's one thing that was in their favor, not at the levels that we wanted, but as you know, it's very difficult sometimes to know how to get those avenues to get people of color, women, to come into the firm. So I applaud the leadership of the firm for seeking that out and wanting to become a member of, wanting to become a sponsor, or I should say a partner with the National Black MBA Association. I am also, if I could just harken back a little bit, I'm also a product of the Black community, the Black church in Dallas-Fort Worth. My parents ensured that I was immersed in Black culture, jazz, Black history. So that's one of the reasons why I'm sitting here today, a 20-year veteran of what I think is one of the best consulting firms in the nation. So I just want to thank you, and thank you on behalf of DLC. And we'll continue to strive to be more participative and to increase our involvement with the organization. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Max. We certainly appreciate it. And with that, I will turn it over to Jennifer, who will make the next presentation.
Thank you, John. So earlier in our presentation today, we heard amazing and inspiring words from Cecilia Owens. And I am here today in line with what Cecilia spoke of about the power of mentorship. I would like to present to you my professional mentor, Michelle Avan, and I am extremely humbled and honored to share with you about who she was. The National Black MBA Association Los Angeles chapter honors the legacy of Michelle Avan, a true pillar of the Los Angeles business community who passed away on August 4th, 2021. Michelle will be remembered for her legacy of professional excellence, community impact, influential leadership, steadfast partnership, and unwavering support. With a career in the financial services industry spanning over 25 years, Michelle was a trailblazer focused on serving and advocating for the community at large, and specifically in partnership with the National Black MBA Association LA chapter. Under her leadership, numerous professionals from the LA chapter's dynamic talent pool were recruited into prime positions within Merrill Lynch Wealth Management. In addition, tens of thousands of dollars of scholarship funding was made available to aspiring MBAs and other worthy students. Moreover, Michelle supported the LH chapter's hardworking Leaders of Tomorrow high school students as a stalwart corporate partner over the last 5 years. Her passion for working with youth helped our students realize their full potential through financial literacy, higher education, determination, and drive. Finally, as a direct result of Michelle's vision and strategic leadership, Merrill Lynch has been named the LA chapter's Corporate Partner of the Year several times over the past decade, including in 2019, when Michelle gave a rousing acceptance speech at the chapter's 45th anniversary gala. Michelle's broader community impact is reflected in her numerous accolades. In 2017, Michelle was an EY Black History Month roundtable speaker, sharing lessons learned from her encouraging journey. Later that same year, she was profiled in Essence magazine, The Strategic Boss, How Michelle Avan Went from Desk to Corner Office. And she participated as a Path to Power conference speaker at the Essence Festival. Michelle was a Black Enterprise Woman of Power Summit speaker in 2018 and named one of the powerful and influential Black women by the Los Angeles Sentinel in 2019. Michelle received numerous distinguished recognitions, honors, and awards. Bank of America Global Diversity and Inclusion Award, Black Enterprise Most Powerful Women in the business, Greater Los Angeles African American Chamber of Commerce Community Service Award, Los Angeles Business Journal Thriving in Their 40s, International Black Women's Public Policy Institute We See You Award, and more. We are fortunate to have known her, collaborated with her, and shared fond memories with Michelle. In honor of her life work and legacy, the Los Angeles chapter has installed the Michelle Avon Carrying the Torch Forward Scholarship Award. I apologize, but that is the power of a true mentor and a true sponsor. Michelle transformed my life, and I am so honored that we are honoring her life and legacy in this way. With that being said, you learned how she was an advocate supporter of our Leaders of Tomorrow program, and I am proud to present our first Michelle Avon Carrying the Torch Forward Scholarship has been allocated to Lauren Sullivan in the amount of $1,000. As our program continues, you will see the recipients of the Carrying the Torch Forward Award that will be announced by my partner and colleague, Londell. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Jennifer. It was such a touching speech. And again, I know how much Michelle meant to our chapter. So moving forward, we will announce our scholarship recipients at the collegiate level. You know, coming from being a college student at one point in my life, you know, it's not always easy balancing personal, family, understanding yourself. And for all of those who are recipients, you know, again, congratulations, because you've taken a step above just the, you know, the average, you know, going to class, you know, doing what you have to do, but you have went above and beyond. And so as we announce these winners, again, special congratulations, and then again, keep pressing forward. So our first recipient is Deonte Plaza from USC Marshall School of Business in the amount of $2,000. I want to say congratulations. And Deonte, if you are on the line, I'll give you a few minutes to say a few words.
Absolutely. Just want to confirm that everyone can hear me okay. Perfect. Thank you for that. So again, my name is Deonte Place. I am a first-year MBA student at USC Marshall. I'm truly grateful to be a recipient of this scholarship. I think everyone on this call knows how expensive grad school is, let alone any school for that matter. Also living in LA is far from cheap. So this scholarship will really go a long way in helping me to stay at USC to continue pursuing my dreams. I want to thank the LA chapter of the National Black MBA, the many partners who continue to support this group, and everyone on this call today. The work that you are doing is truly inspiring and really life-changing. As I continue to progress in my studies and school and in my career, I promise to pay it forward just as you all continue to do every day. And also to Cecilia, your story was really amazing to hear. Thanks for spending the time with us today. It's also great to know that you are an SC alum. So now I know that I truly picked the right school. So thank you for that confirmation. Thanks again for everything to everyone on this call, and I will pass it over to the next recipient. Thank you.
Congratulations again, Deonte.
Thank you.
And moving forward, our next scholarship recipient is Mr. Gerald Mcdowell from the UCLA Anderson School of Management in the amount of $2,000. Again, congratulations, Gerald. And if you are on the line, you have the floor to make a few words of acknowledgement.
I don't see that he's on here, but let me double check here. I don't think
Gerald is on the call today. He's actually on a class trip right now, so he couldn't make it, but he's definitely grateful for the chapter and for this award. So I'm just saying thank you on his behalf.
Thank you for that. So moving forward to our next scholarship recipient, we have Skyler Dunn from USC Marshall School of Business. The amount of $2,750. And congratulations to Skyler. And Skyler, you have the floor to say a few words as well.
Absolutely. First and foremost, I want to thank Jennifer for her beautiful story of her mentor. So many times in life, I feel like as Black people, Black professionals, we don't get mentors to help guide us and push us forward and be our advocates, as Cecilia kind of spoke about earlier. But it's truly amazing to see how she touched your life, Jennifer. So as I said in the chat, please don't apologize. That was really, really moving. But I'm a second-time recipient, and I'm just super grateful for the LA chapter of National Black. I was introduced to the National Black MBA Association last year during my first year as an MBA student at SC. And I actually received my first internship offer from being able to attend the National Black MBA Conference, which led to my stint at Microsoft this past summer, where I was able to win Intern of the Year. And I'm just grateful for people like Joelle, people like Jennifer, especially Jennifer, who's been a champion for me this last year via LinkedIn. We've kept in contact. So you never know whose life you're going to touch and whose story you're going to really touch. And I think the most important thing for me, as I kind of wrote in my essay, was never put a period where a comma is supposed to be. We're all going to have life struggles, trials, and tribulations, especially during, this pandemic that we've been in. But if it showed me anything, continue to be patient, take your time, and good things will happen when it's your turn and when it's your time and when it's your season. So again, I'm just super grateful to the LA chapter for allowing me to be a 2-time recipient. And I know this is going to help a lot as I pursue an extra certificate during my last semester at Marshall in the spring. So thank you all again. I'm very appreciative, and I'll pass it on to the next recipient.
Thank you so much, Skyler, for those words. Our next recipient, for the next slide, is Karen Van Kummer, who's also a PhD candidate at Claremont Drucker School of Management, and in the amount, again, $2,750. And congratulations to Karen.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me? No?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So I am so excited. This is a great way to kick off a Saturday. I've been associated with the National Black MBA for years, and it's great to see so many familiar faces. I thank you all for your service. And it's nice to meet new faces. And I feel like I'm in really good company with my scholarship recipients, my fellow scholarship recipients. As a former Trojan, I know we have some Trojans receiving awards. And I did some work at UCLA, so that's my connection with my fellow UCLA recipient. And I'm so proud to be at Claremont right now pursuing my PhD. I started about 3 years ago, part-time in my PhD program because I was working full-time. I'm a consultant. And in terms of renew, refresh, reset, the pandemic, as like many people, set me back. I got laid off from my job. Bills were still piling up, but school was a positive distraction. It kept me engaged. And my research topic is how technology can help students and employees connect better. But now that we're in this pandemic, it's critical how we can not only connect better, but engage better, because we want to avoid attrition and people just giving up and walking away. So now I'm looking at how we can help remote employees, people working in the office, and people doing this hybrid type of approach, because it's essential. Communication and people and relationships, that's the heart of everything. So I appreciate the foundation I got from the Black MBAs and from USC, and now what I'm learning at Claremont, and I can't thank everyone enough. This is a really positive experience for me, and I'm going to make sure I pay it forward. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, and congratulations again, Karen.
Thank you.
And our last scholarship recipient that we'll announce this morning is Deja Darrington from Claremont as well, in an amount of $3,500. Again, congratulations, and the floor is yours for any remarks.
Hi, happy Saturday, everyone. I would like to say thank you to the National Black MBA Association, and also to our corporate partners and education partners for your incredible investment into my education. I would also like to say thank you to Leslie White. You have been a huge advocate for me at Drucker, and Leslie is the one who told me about the National Black MBA Association. And so I actually got to attend the Renew, Refresh, Reset conference, and I had the best experience and I became a member right away. So thank you again, Leslie. So I work full-time and I attend the Drucker School of Management part-time. And because of the scholarship, I will be able to take on additional units and complete my MBA degree sooner than expected. So for that, I'm truly grateful for that. I went back to school for both career and personal development, but really to specialize in marketing and strategy, and to also expand my network and opportunities. So for example, recently I had the chance to compete in the small business school competition, and I represented our school, and it was the most rewarding experience I've had as an MBA student. So it's opportunities like these that I will be able to continue to be a part of and also work on my degree at the same time. So again, I just want to say thank you for supporting MBA students, because it's hard out here, and also for moving them one step closer to achieving their personal and their professional goals. And I hope to one day that I'll be able to help students achieve their goals as you have helped me. So thank you.
Congratulations again, Deja. And also wanted to highlight that this last scholarship was sponsored in part by BCG. So again, congrats to all of our recipients. And we will move on to our announcements for future and upcoming events for LA Black MBA. Okay, so obviously, this event would not be possible with all the efforts and support and time of our executive leadership team who we see here, consisting of John, our current president, and of course, Javon, our president-elect, Camille Harris, who does dual duty as executive administrator and lot director, and also humbly myself as the chapter treasurer. Again, we're all proud to serve our community as well as our members. Also, we have our leadership team as a whole. As you see here, again, many of the things you see in front of you, from this program to others to upcoming events, would not be possible without the leadership of our board.
And Londell, if I could, just to break in here, I've said it before, I want to say it again, and I say it jokingly, but it's really true. As the chapter president, I get a ton of compliments and acclimates for the work that is done by this fantastic group of volunteers. And now, in all seriousness, I just want to say that it's them, it's not me, it's them, it's the team. And I greatly appreciate all they do. And I want to make sure that they know it. I want to make sure the world knows it, because they work so hard, and the impact is what you see here today. So thank you so much to all of them. And thank you again, Londell. And unless you have more to say, Londell, we can turn it over to Javon for closing remarks.
I think one last thing, John, we're going to discuss our upcoming events.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go for it. My fault.
No worries. All right. So speaking of upcoming events, we have an amazing event happening tomorrow from 3 to 6 p.m. Normally our annual Business of Wine, except for 2020. We happen at the 1010 Wine Bar from 3 to 6 p.m. You can find this event on Eventbrite for more details. And then to round out the year, we're going to have our Black Professionals Hollywood Holiday Affair on Saturday, December 11th, 2021. So those are some of the upcoming events. Very excited for all of you to come out who can make it. And now I will turn it over to Javon for closing remarks.
Thank you so much, Londell. I'm going to tell a quick story that I've told many times before, and John, you've heard this ad nauseum. I've been in a couple of different capacities with the chapter. First, as a corporate partner, I was working in Blue Shield of California, and we brought the chapter in to give some professional development tips to our Black employees. And I quickly became a member. Shortly thereafter, I started an MBA program, and Karen, you and I received a scholarship that year. And I made a joke about being a 47-year-old first year MBA student. And just having the opportunity to receive a scholarship from the chapter, both at the local and the national level, was really impactful for me in my career. And I shortly became a volunteer. And in quick order, John asked me to be the director of operations, the VP operations, and going into the president role for 2022. I'm reminded how impactful our chapter is. Deja, from your words, Karen, from your words, from all of our, and Skyler, and just all of you, of your words on how what we do every day and what we tirelessly do every year impacts people in ways that we can't even imagine. And Cecilia, it was entirely not intentional to have you be on this call and be a USC Marshall alumni, but that just shows the breadth of when people have a goal, that there are people there to reach out and to help. So thank you so much for allowing me to serve. John, thank you. You've been an amazing president. It's wonderful to know you and to try to walk in your shadow. Thank you, Londale, Jennifer, Camille, all of the board members. Thank you for your engagement. Corporate partners, thank you all. Educational partners, thank you all. The work that we do could not be nearly as impactful without all of you. So I just want to say thank you again. If there's any other questions, please feel free to reach out. We all are on LinkedIn, and if 2020 and 2021 hasn't shown us anything, is that we all need each other, and we can't think of each other as competition, but we can think of each other as family or peers. So reach out, no matter your firm, your school. And with that, I'll say thank you again and enjoy the rest of your weekend.
I do want to add one more thing. Please
Sure.
make sure that upon ending your meeting, we do have a quick survey that we want you to answer. 5 questions, very simple, take you 10 seconds. It gives us the information we need to continue to provide excellent programming like this and to connect with our community. If you're interested, please let us know. If you're interested in joining or volunteering, let us know. We'll plug you in ASAP. Thanks again.
Damien, thank you so much for everything. And you are a true Trojan, and just about it. And having you run our technology for all of our events and being so integral to the chapter. Priceless. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And of course, fight on. Had to say it.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Thank you,
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. I appreciate it.